After years of putting it off, you have finally decided to take the plunge and learn how to play the piano. I'm not kidding when I tell you that this may be one of the most important and consequential decisions that you've ever made. It's no secret that just about every musician you meet these days is going to tell you that piano skill is absolutely essential. There is no professional musician who doesn't have an understanding of the piano, even just a basic understanding of where the notes are and where basic chords are. This is by no means a knock on other instruments like the guitar. I have many of them, the trumpet, clarinet, whatever. All of these instruments are wonderful and have their benefits, but the piano is by far the best visual roadmap that we have for understanding music. The piano takes very little effort to make a sound. You just push the key. It has a huge range of 88 keys. You can play multiple notes at the same time, and you can interface with computers, which is what we've been doing to create music for the past couple of decades. Notice that almost every famous musician that doesn't play the piano as their primary instrument still possesses at least a rudimentary degree of piano skill. This is true about Taylor Swift, who is mainly a guitar player, singer-songwriter. Dr. Dre can play the piano. Michael Jackson had basic piano skills. Phil Collins, who's a drummer, singer, composer, can play the piano. The list goes on and on and on. It's really, really important. Okay, so I'm done trying to convince you of the piano's importance, because if you're here and you're still watching, you know that it's important. So let's talk about what some of the cognitive benefits are of learning music, because there are a ton. Music is known to positively affect neuroplasticity, which is your brain's ability to form and modify connections. It's great for your memory, your fine motor skills, your reasoning ability to deal with negative emotions, depression, anxiety, and the list goes on and on and on. So at the time of the making of this video in 2023, there are 4 main ways that I can think of to learn and understand music so that it can be played on an instrument of your choosing. The oldest, most institutionalized way, which has been around for centuries, is to learn how to read sheet music. Stuff like this that we've all seen. So if you're watching this video, there's a good chance that looking at music like this scares the crap out of you. And that's okay, because sometimes it scares me too. And I've been reading music for about 28 years. I started when I was 4. So learning to read music, in my opinion, is something that everybody should do, because from a conceptual standpoint, everybody can learn to read music. It doesn't take too long to learn what the little dots on the lines mean. However, to get good at reading music, in other words, get to the point where you can look at a piece of music and just play it, that takes a long time. Now, that being said, there is a good amount of variation that I observe as a teacher, meaning I have some students who after 5 minutes they can read, and I have some who after 10 years still can't read music. So this will lead me to some of my other points, but reading music may not be your dominant muscle. It may not be the best way for you to learn, digest, then perform music. It's only one of the 4. The second way to learn and understand music is by ear. Now, this is a tricky one because it is very talent dependent. You can teach ear training and you can help people improve their ears, but the ability to pick out notes by ear, whether you have perfect pitch or excellent relative pitch, that kind of stuff really can't be taught. So when I was a kid, when I was about 4 or 5 years old, I discovered that I had perfect pitch, and I used to pick songs out from the radio at the time, or CDs or whatever, 2 things that don't exist anymore, and I would be able to play the songs. And it was not really fair, nobody really taught me how to do it, but I was just able to do it. But when I went to my piano lessons and was forced to read sheet music like this, I was about 100 times slower at this because it was not my dominant muscle for learning music. My dominant muscle was my ears. I could hear anything and just play it. But this was like using my feet to play the piano. I was using something non-dominant that was weaker and thus taking a longer path to get to the same goal, and it was just painful for me. The third way to learn music is to learn by rote. And learning by rote is essentially learning visually. So if I sit at the piano next to you and I say, hey, put your finger on C, and then put your middle finger here, and then put your pinky over here, and do this 3 times, that's teaching by rote. So essentially teaching visually with auditory cues, obviously, and enforcing memorization, repetition, all that stuff. Essentially what most of my videos are. I'm walking you through a piece of music and I'm teaching you guys by rote, virtually. And finally, the fourth way that I can think of is learning from software. So things like playground sessions, Flow Key, those Synthesia videos that have been popping up for the past 10 years. I have students who can actually look at the falling notes onto the keys and play music in real time. It's insane. So that is a very valid way of learning music, and it's visual. It's almost like a new type of staff paper to me, and I think it's completely valid. So now if you're thinking, which of these four methods should I try? The answer is all four, and any others that you can think of that I may have forgotten. You should try to read music and see how that goes for you. You should try to learn music by ear. If you're able to, you should try to learn from software or from those TikTok videos with falling lines on the piano. You should try to learn from my videos, learning by rote and with audio, to see if that works for you. And you're going to find over time that one or maybe more than one of these methods is going to really resonate with you, and it's going to make sense. We all learn differently, and quite frankly, there's no way we are going to be able to excel in all of the different ways of digesting music. So don't feel bad if you suck at reading, or your ears suck, or you suck at the Synthesia videos. You're going to be good at something. You have to understand how you learn. And for some of this, you can really tap back into how you did in school and how you learned when you were in school. Now, of course I'm biased, but I have to pitch my own channel because it's free for you guys. What I'm trying to provide here is step-by-step piano lessons where I am showing you guys by rote with multiple cameras how to play songs. I'm showing you the notes on a staff. You're hearing me talk about them, and you're hearing the song, which is activating your ears. So I think that software options in addition to YouTube are by far the best ways today for learning music, and they're free, so you have no excuse. Now, can you do everything on your own? The answer is if you're self-motivated and crazy enough, or if you're one of these people who gets passionate about something and then they just can't let it go and that goes on for years, then you can probably teach yourself. But in my opinion, you do need to check in with a teacher at least once in a while so that they can point out obvious things that you may be doing wrong with your hands, with your fingers, your height, or just show you little tricks that are going to save you a crazy amount of time and change your technique and way of learning forever. I really think it's worth taking a lesson privately with a good teacher at least once a month just so they can check in on you. And finally, what should you learn? Well, if you're just starting to learn the piano, or you're just starting to learn music in general and you don't know anything about the language, what you should know is that everything you've ever heard in your life is made up of 12 notes. That's it. There are 12 notes in music, and the reason why the piano is so big and has 88 notes is because those 12 notes just repeat over and over and over and over in sequence up and down. So what you should understand if you're going to play the piano is learn the names of the notes, learn where they are on the piano, learn how to play basic chords. Chords are groups of notes that you play together like this. Here I'm playing 3 notes at the same time. Much of what you hear in music, if you hear a piano or a keyboard in a song, is chords. It's essentially what maybe regular people call background or accompaniment, right? That's what chords are. So you should learn the names of the notes, you should learn chords. There are things called scales, which is when you play all of the notes in sequence until you hit that same note a second time and then come back. You've heard these before. And they really have a pretty useful purpose. They teach you a lot about music. They teach your fingers how to move on the piano so that they don't look ridiculous and twisted. So that's something I think everybody should really do. That's what we consider bottom-up learning. So learning rudiments, learning names of notes, chords, how to play some basic notes in a row. And then, of course, there's the top-down learning, which is learning stuff that is already completed works that are through osmosis going to teach you a lot about music. So that would be learning songs that you really like and that are really fun for you, because then you won't get bored. And by learning a song, which contains new challenges and things you haven't seen before, you will learn chords through that song. You will learn some notes, some scales, some rhythms, some patterns, and various things through a piece that you happen to really like. So that makes it fun. That's the top-down stuff. All the stuff I mentioned before is bottom-up. And somewhere in the middle, these will meet and inform your musical consciousness and make you a really great musician over time. But be patient, because this takes a long time. I'm 28 years deep, and every day I tell myself that I suck and I'm trying to learn something new and improve. So it really is an infinite journey. Anyway, guys, I hope this intro video was helpful. I hope it gives you an idea of what you can expect when you're learning music. This is a lifelong journey that takes a long time. So you might as well learn songs that you really like, learn exercises that are useful and not boring. And if you have the patience and you can set a little bit of time aside every day to do this, you're gonna have a ton of fun playing music. This channel will be one of the best free resources that you have. So please leave me a thumbs up, subscribe, check back every once in a while for new stuff. I really appreciate you watching, and see you next time.